Works. Preparing to live stream the meeting. It's loading. Oh man, how fun, how exciting.
It's pretty exciting. I bet you it's working right now. We're probably
Absolutely.
live.
I think we're live. I think we are set. Indeed, we are good to go. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube Live. This is the first ever live edition of Office Hours right now. So we're excited to come at you live. We've got Chris Reimer. Chris Reimer, hello. Quickly introduce us to our crowd.
Hi, I'm Chris Reimer. I'm owner of Boost Tech and sometimes friend of Dr. Dustin York.
Fantastic. So we're testing this out. We're testing out YouTube Live. I got some big things coming up for next semester using YouTube Live. So we're going to do kind of a show. We're going to do a show, a 4-part show in this time of this YouTube Live. At any point, if you have questions or comments, blow up the chat. I already see Travis. What's up? I see you in the chat. We've got 4 segments. 4 segments in this time. We're going to talk about what's currently happening, what's going on in social media, business, innovation. We're going to switch over. We're going to talk about innovation in the workplace. Then we're going to do a fun game. We've got a fun game of overrated, underrated. Chris doesn't know the topics I have for him. He's got some topics for me that I have not seen. And then we're going to finish up this YouTube Live with some big predictions. Now, we haven't shared what our predictions are, but we're going to share one big time prediction for social media in 2021. And I told Chris, if it'll not be something safe, we're going to do some big ones. We're going to put our name out there. So this is on video. So a year from now, we can come back to this and make fun of each other for those silly predictions. What do you think, Chris?
Oh, mine are silly.
Yeah, you ready?
I'm totally ready.
All right, fantastic. So first trend I want to talk about is all these IPOs, right? We're in this time of innovation and business and technology going on. We've had some big IPOs in the last week. We had Airbnb and DoorDash went public. I don't know if you picked up any, but I sure did. And then we have Roblox that pushed off until next year. What do you think about all these technology IPOs? Are you buying? Are you selling? What do you think?
So I did not buy either of those. Now I'm curious that you did because the prices went up astronomically on opening day and then they've kind of stayed high. So I feel like they're kind of overpriced right now. But so I'd be curious to ask you just real quick if you can share like approximately where did you get in on those? Because Airbnb was supposed to come out at 68 and then it went to like 160 or something crazy. Where'd you get in?
So I got in at 120. So I got scared the first day. I backed away. I bid. I think my original IPO bid went up to like $97 and I backed away that day. I waited for it to come back down and I nabbed it at 120 before it came right back up. So right now I'm sitting pretty, but I believe in it long term for sure.
Let me say, I'm actually more than happy to talk about this topic because it's not social media. It's fun to talk about things other than my normal day job. Mm-hmm. But what I think is interesting is that where young people can teach us a lot about social media and especially the up and coming platforms or the platforms that they use natively that you and me haven't started quite mastering yet, say like TikTok. I think young people are teaching us quite a bit about what it means to be an investor these days. Now, I know that you're a huge fan of Robinhood, and perhaps we can talk about that, but I feel as though these IPOs, they are the companies, and I'm not endorsing Airbnb or DoorDash necessarily. You may do Postmates or Grubhub or whatever, but I feel like these companies, these young people are going to teach us how to invest. They see a future where you don't need a hotel. I mean, the future's here, obviously. You can get an Airbnb. My first Airbnb I got, I think it was in 2011. So it was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But I feel like these companies, whereas people our age might look and say, I'm just not sure, or what's the big deal? Like these are these young people's favorite companies. So when you get Roblox going, like other people are going to look at the technicals, and see like, but young people are going to be like, I want some of that. And of course, in a supply and demand world, that stock's going to go up. So absolutely. I like the fact that these IPOs and all the different SPACs that are coming out that are going to, eventually be electric vehicle companies. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it. And I like seeing young people put money into the market, even if it's with your favorite trading app, Robinhood.
Chris, I hate Robinhood. I hate Robinhood with a passion. It is the most unethical trading platform, financial gateway there is. It's like we talk about like cigarettes are a gateway to something. No. Robinhood is cigarettes.
Investing does not cause cancer.
Listen.
Cancer sticks cause cancer.
Hey,
Robinhood is
a prediction for you. Robinhood's going to get a crackdown. The government's going to step into Robinhood and tell them to slow it down. The amount of manipulative.
You've got young people finally putting money in the market. We've got a group of young people, an entire generation that's investing at a much higher rate than we ever did at our age. There's a cat here. Let's see if you can get a look. He says Robinhood. He says, yes, absolutely. It's a blessing to have young people wanting to put money in the market. So much so, in fact, that my 16-year-old, actually when she was 15, started a Robinhood account. And that's not legal. She wasn't supposed to do that. So maybe that's what you're getting at. But it didn't get funded. I helped start an account like in a more established place, and she wants to invest. That's the lesson of Robinhood. It's getting young people to invest now.
No, I'm all for investing. The issue comes in of how Robinhood is doing it. They're using manipulative practices used by casinos for decades to get you. There's flashing lights. They're gamifying the investing process. When you invest something,
gamifying.
Sure, but not when you're investing real money into some fly by the night business that can lose all of those, sweet 16 money that you got for your birthday, right? Sweet grandma gave you that money for college or for a car or to travel.
No, man.
When you're persuading people unethically, they're messing with people's minds to try to gamify and, let me add a little bit more. Let me buy a little bit more of this. Let me buy a little bit. Man, people have committed suicide because of Robinhood. Literally committed suicide directly because of Robinhood.
Those types of things are obviously unfortunate, and
it's an issue.
In 2020 has been a stressful year, so it's, a lot of people are stressed out, and it's been a tough year. So I can't say if Robinhood was necessarily but people are going to jump in and they're going to make poor decisions, whether these Robinhood or some other app. I'm hoping that Robinhood is not using any unscrupulous business tactics, especially to take advantage of young people, because that just would not be cool.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I just lost one sponsor in Robinhood, so we'll have to move on with office hours without that one sponsor. I want to get your take on another piece. Facebook. All right. Facebook's in a lot of fire right now, right? Is it going to get broken up? Is it not going to get broken up? What do you think? What's the future of Facebook short term?
I don't think it's going to get broken up. I think the government, even if they were to, and I don't know all the terminology, so forgive me, but if they decide, or a judge decides or whoever, that happened to Microsoft in the 90s. They were going to get broken up. They actually never got broken up. Like the decision, they never carried it through to the end. And if you think about the competitive environment that Microsoft is in now, they're right in the thick of some heavy competition from all corners, right? So what happened between the 90s and now? Well, the competitors grew up, new ideas came up, everything from Zoom to obviously Google. And, when they were pushing Microsoft around, Facebook didn't even exist. Amazon maybe existed, but it was just selling, a couple books here and there. So the thing with Facebook now is they look extremely powerful. And we've heard a lot of news stories about, selling data to Cambridge Analytica, just all these crazy, awful things. But the problem that people are having right now is that they also own Instagram and WhatsApp. Now, the FTC allowed those purchases to go through. So everyone's like, hey, what's the problem? Well, the problem is if you would take those two companies and whatever else you have and start to act in an anti-competitive way, that's not okay. Just because they said, yes, you can buy Instagram doesn't mean you can go ahead and take it and do whatever the heck you want with it. My take on it is there's actually a lot of competition for Facebook. It doesn't mean they haven't done wrong things. They're now competing with Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. So there's some, I'd hate to call those up and comers, but Facebook has its hands full. And so I don't think they're going to get broken up. I think they'll be able to beat the case.
You think so? I'm going to take the other side on this, Chris. I don't think so. I think they're going to fight hard. They are going to fight hard. Facebook has more lobbyists than we have U.S. senators. So it's simply because of the amount of power that they have to help lobby their case. It's definitely going to take a little more time, but it's not going to happen. They're going to get broken up. There's too much. Instagram needs to be split off. Think of the amount of jobs that would be created if we split up these companies. Keep Facebook in Silicon Valley. Instagram goes to Austin, Texas, which is now everyone in tech is going to Austin, Texas. So let's split them apart, create new jobs. Let's create some competition with advertising. I think there's opportunities here, Chris.
I don't think the government should be breaking out companies, with the idea that jobs can be created. I'm hoping that would not be the main impetus for it. But I mean, you're not supposed to be able to run a monopoly. That's not okay. And so I would be very, very interested in seeing them try to prove that case, because like I said, when MySpace was huge, I know people always throw that in for a little chuckle, but like when MySpace was big, like you could never have seen a future without it. Like, can you see a future where Facebook somehow like is on the outs? Like we're not using it, it's struggling. It's hard. It's hard to see that. But like, in 2007, people were having trouble seeing Nokia as this like massive portable, cell phone company. Never saw the iPhone coming. So who knows what's coming up next? In fact, we've got TikTok, which is where all the attention is right now. Facebook is struggling, and maybe Reels is gonna, bring up the rear there. And I know that we're gonna talk about that today. Facebook has a ton of competition that they're facing. So I think I think they're not going to get broken up.
I see it. They're going to be the first pebble in the avalanche of breakups. Google's coming next. Amazon is after them. There's going to be breakups. We're going to finally return to the day of breaking up these tech behemoths.
Full disclosure, I own several of the stocks that we mentioned today, Facebook and Snapchat. So I don't want anyone to think that there's anything untoward here. But I don't own very much Facebook. I wish I owned more.
Full disclosure, I do too. I take shots at them, but they're going to make money. They're going to make money, right? And we get a shout out back we got some Robinhood fans. I think you won in the chat. You won the Robinhood debate. You got some Robinhood fans in the chat.
If there's anyone listening, I'm curious. I don't know if you put it in the chat because I can't see it. Tell us why you like it. Tell us if you're a user and tell us why you like it. I really want to learn more about it.
Awesome. Chris, so chat, let us know. Chris, I got a question for you. Quiz question. What were the two most highly rated apps in 2020? What apps were the two most highly rated in 2020?
Oh man. I should know this. I mean, I'm gonna say TikTok.
That's number one. That's number one.
Robinhood.
Not Robinhood. Number two was Among Us. So any Among Us fans out there? Among Us was number two. But number one was TikTok. So what are your thoughts? TikTok, Reels, right? The Instagram Reels knockoff, just like Instagram did to Snapchat in the day before. Who's going to win out? What's going to happen here?
So I think they're both going to win. I don't mean to not pick a side here, but I think that Instagram, with its massive platform and its power and their ability to pivot and add new things, and when I say add, I mean get heavily inspired, which means that I'm saying that they're stealing ideas from other companies. I think they'll continue to add to it. And, Mark Zuckerberg and his crew, they just don't really take no for an answer, which actually maybe we want to go back and change my answer about whether they're going to get broken up or not. Reels is a good product. TikTok is an amazing product. TikTok has so much of the attention spans of people basically 13 to 20 at this point, which is where both my kids fall into that. So I asked my older daughter the other day, I'm like, what do you think of Reels? Dustin, what was her answer?
Hates it.
Yeah,
hates it with a passion.
Stupid. She thinks it's stupid. And I'm like, well, why? She just can't get into it because TikTok has her heart right now. Well, this is the exact same thing that was happening with people her age 5 years ago when Instagram stories came out. It was a brazen theft, basically, of intellectual property when they completely stole all of the functionality of Snapchat and threw it onto Instagram. It didn't seem like a great idea to me, but that shows what I know because Instagram stories is hugely successful. And those young people who said they hated it, they are using it now. They may still be on Snapchat, but they are using Instagram stories. The same thing's going to happen with Reels. I don't think TikTok's going anywhere, though. It is probably the most addictive social media product that has ever been created.
Yep. Absolutely. And I would say the same thing. If there's any students from last semester on here watching right now, they said with an absolute passion that Instagram's terrible. I hate what Instagram has done. The new layout of Instagram is terrible. I hate it. You're going to get one back over. It's going to happen. Just like Chris said, history is going to repeat itself. I could definitely see some changes coming up. They have to add the 60 seconds, right, to the reels. They have to add that. They have to build their algorithm, right? Their algorithm isn't as good as TikTok right now. So they have to build that algorithm, and they have to get better content and original content, because, if you ever scroll through reels, it's just a lot of it is downloaded TikToks, right? You just upload your TikToks.
I don't know if it's on the docket for today, but we could talk really quickly about Snapchat. It's either Spotlight or Spotlights, I forget. So that is Snapchat's attempt to steal something back. And in this case, they're stealing it from TikTok, but hopefully they would just tell everyone they're stealing it off reels just to get back at them. It's the same thing. So Snapchat's trying to do the exact same thing, but it's different. You are not allowed to upload a video that you've already taken. You have to take it live. So you cannot use a TikTok. That is one way to get original content. The second one, which you may have heard, is Snapchat until the end of the year is giving out $1 million a day to the creators of spotlights or whatever they're called that go viral for that day. So whatever share you get, I mean, dude, you could do a Snapchat spotlight and walk away with $100,000 in a day. I mean, who knows? I found that to be an amazing. I love that kind of marketing where you're let's just throw the whole kitchen sink at it and let's go for it, because we need at that point, they need to buy some attention. Snapchat did.
Yeah. Let's wrap up this section, but I got to say, the monetization of curators, that is definitely the future. I think Instagram Reels has to lean into it as well. I mean, at the end of the day, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, they don't own any of their own media, right? They're just making billions of dollars off of other people's creations. YouTube pays their creators. Instagram, TikTok, they all have to lean into it. They all have to lean into good original content. I love it. I want to move subjects to our second of 4 subjects of this live is innovation. Now, I'm going to tee you up. I'm going to put you, I know an area that you are well written in. I want you to talk us about Happy Works, your book. It's about workplace, right? You've written about, you're a big speaker in the world of workplace culture and just showing up at work. And here's the issue, COVID. Right? COVID is changing the world. It has changed. Not necessarily even changed. It just accelerated everything, right? That's a talking point a lot of people have said at this point. It just accelerated what was going to happen anyway. Let's talk about just work, right? Now, obviously, COVID's going to change education and healthcare and movie theaters. It's going to change it all. But workplace, so many people are working from home right now. That doesn't last forever. Somewhere in the middle is going to happen. Where do you see? What do you think of innovation in the workplace? What are you keeping your eye on?
For me, I would say for the companies that are open to innovation, that are interested in it, that have a curiosity about how things could work in a different or more productive way, I'm hoping that those companies are the ones that are going to take lessons from what we have achieved this year. Starting in March, I just wrapped up week 40 of working from home. I never thought that I would be able to be a work from home employee and be feeling productive. I don't want to go so far as to say happy, because I'm not sure. I mean, happiness is a little bit elusive this year, and that's okay to admit that and feel that way. But the companies that can actually look at how things went this year, which is not bad, and to realize that their employees can be trusted, that a remote employee can be properly managed, and that great output can happen. But the other thing that I've noticed this year is how I can feel accomplished after a day, because in between working hard for my company, I'm also able to do the laundry or something like that. I know that sounds silly, but I don't think I would have been able to get through the stress of this year unless I was actually able to lower some of those other stresses by being able to work from home. It's easier not to be in traffic for an hour. I use that hour for good things. And so for me, I want to see companies come up with a, let's say, second half of 2021 strategy where they figure, no, not everyone has to come to the office every day. And here's the tools that we're going to use to do it. So I think the kind of meeting that we're going to have in the future that we probably haven't really had yet is a meeting where it is a mixture of in-person and people zooming in. And we're going to have to find ways to make all participants in that meeting feel invested in the meeting so that it's not like better to be on Zoom or better to be in person. So that's where I'm hoping that we're going to be able to innovate. It's like, let's consider the humans that work at our workplaces and like what's best for them. And if it's not best to be in the office on a Friday, or it's one of those days you're driving your kids all over the place, I commit to you, I'm still going to get my work done, and we're going to use technology to do it.
So what do you think? So a lot of people who watch these YouTube shows, and a lot of students, undergraduate students, graduate students, even some students in high school coming up, would you, and I feel passionate about this next one, would you ever recommend a 20-something who's early in her or his career to work remote?
Yes, absolutely. And I see you shaking your head. No, I want to give you a chance to speak. What's on your mind here?
No, I mean, if there's a work-life balance situation, there's a family situation where you need to be close to family because of health reasons, absolutely, right? So there's a caveat that's obviously, I'm going to say 99% need to be in the office, but first understanding that there are family issues that may come up where you have to short-term go remote. If you don't have that situation, you need to be in the office early on in your career, because if you're fully remote, how are you going to get promoted at the same level as the person in office that's making eye contact with decision makers? The leaders are the ones who decide who gets promoted. If you're not the first one in, first one out, showing grit, going the extra mile, I don't see that when you're in your living room. I don't see it. You may be doing it, but I don't see it. So early on, you have to show up. You need to show up in those meetings. You need to show up in the hallways. You need to show up professionally so the decision makers see it. You got to be there early career.
I think it 100% depends though on the industry. So, if you are running, like a tech company and you're coding this, that, or the other, or if you are a cybersecurity company, honestly, what's beautiful about this new remote situation is that like you've just opened up the world's talent pool to your HR department. So I'm not ready. In most cases, I am not ready to discriminate against someone because they don't live in the city where my company is. So I'm hoping that those companies can run themselves in a way that doesn't discriminate against people who are coming into the office every day. I'm telling you right now, if anyone at my employer right now is thinking I'm not working hard because they don't see me, that's a problem. That doesn't sit well with me. And and maybe that's just because I'm old. I got 30 years experience and I can express myself on behalf of myself. Whereas a young person might be like, your junior level, you don't know how to talk to executives. You don't know how to sway people's opinions. I get that, but man, I do not want to go back to a world where it's like, okay, who's first in the office and last in the office? It's not like a how long you sit at your desk game. I don't want to play that game anymore.
I hear you. And from a business end, I totally agree. From a business end, I want people remote, 100%. If I am Google, if I am Facebook, any company, Edward Jones, I want people remote. Here's why: it costs me less, right? I have less overhead and I can probably pay people less, because if we send you from New York City to Baldwin, Missouri, your salary doesn't need to be New York City salary. So yes, from a business end, it fiscally makes sense to have remote employees. I'm saying though, if you're that early entry level, sure, you can crush it as a coder, right? When you're early in your career, you can crush it as a coder in your living room. But guess what your ceiling is going to be? A coder. Being that manager, being that director, being that VP over coding, cybersecurity, other areas. You got to have those personal connections. You got to be able to show up in those situations.
Personal connections can be made over Zoom. They can. I'm telling you, I don't feel, and this is just me, I do not feel disconnected to from my coworkers right now. I see them every week. We're on Zoom. I don't feel, and I'm an extrovert. I like being around people. I draw energy from other people. But I don't have an issue with doing meetings on Zoom. Here's a prediction for you. There are some companies, large companies, that are going to go for it, man. They are going to slice their office space right off the income statement. they're gonna try it. They're gonna be like, we saw it work in 2020. Let's really undertake this grand. And there's some companies who already do this, but I'm saying there's some that had offices, 50,000 square feet in an expensive part of some city. And you're thinking that's how we're going to recruit people. That's going to change. Some companies are going to change it, and then you're going to watch their profitability go up. You're going to watch bonuses hopefully go up. I'm hoping management can take care of such matters. And you're going to see, and it's funny, Tony Hsieh, the recently, unfortunately, passed away, former founder of Zappos, he had something really interesting to say one time. He said, it's not work-life balance, it's work-life integration. Now, some people might think, oh, that's bad. I need my borders. And it's not necessarily always about being borders. Of course, you can disconnect from work. You're going to need to sometimes. But I appreciate being able to answer an email at 5 a.m. I do not feel intruded upon by doing a little work here and there. It's like work's part of life. Work, family, friends, and personal hobbies and pursuits. Those are the 4 buckets of time that we have. Okay, so I don't want to look at the work bucket and say, I hate that bucket and I like these other 3 buckets. And they're all important buckets to our happiness.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. One last thing before we move on to the fun segment of overrated, underrated. We're going to have some surprises here, so I'm excited for this. When you talk about happiness, one last prediction of workplace. I want to hear your thoughts. Because of COVID, I do believe in this next year, a lot of private daycares are going to go under, right? Because of, childcare has been a hot point during COVID. Having children home while working, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of private daycares, I believe, are going to have issues. And a quarter of them, we're going to shut the doors. I could see that being a major recruiting factor for companies to have on-site daycare. If Edward Jones on-site daycare, Anheuser-Busch on-site daycare, for a couple of reasons. One, it's a benefit, right? Just like anything else, it's a benefit package. But here's the issue. What we've seen in 2020 is we've had this male versus women equity gap in the workplace. We've had this, and we've seen this slowly decrease over time. 2020, we've seen it increase dramatically. Women being disconnected because single mothers, et cetera, with daycare specifically. So if companies are looking forward and saying, we need to look into diversity, inclusiveness, we want women showing up as leaders, we have to offer specific opportunities that support the opportunity for women to become leaders within our organization. I think that's one opportunity. What do you think?
I can't argue with what you just said. It's wonderful. Now, if it's interesting, if those companies that were going to bring daycare on site, which by the way, like it's expensive. Mm-hmm. Like there are some places that offer, but then you have to actually pay for it.
Yep.
As a person, the insurance costs are like out of control.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean it shouldn't be. I'm just stating a fact. Mm-hmm. But what if some of those companies that were going to offer it are also the same companies that are going to slice their office space? And they're just, so then there's no daycare because there's no office to go to. I'm wondering like how, if you don't have any place for your kids to go, I mean, you have to find some private daycare, but like you said, some of them might be going out of business. It might get harder and harder to find, quality care for your children. Mm-hmm. We don't need that stress, man.
Yeah.
It is way too stressful to take your kids someplace. You're like, all right, don't know how this is going to go. It would be much better if as a country, we valued early childhood education and, found ways to get these kids, engaged, but also taken care of in like a safe and wholesome manner.
I love that. I love it. I think on a bright side, I think 2020 is going to have some awesome opportunities like that. Looking at workplace, I know 2020, you led with it, is kind of a rough year, but I think 2020 is going to have some bright sides. I think innovation is going to bring to the workplace. So it's super exciting. Super exciting. So Chris, are you ready for overrated, underrated? So what we're doing, so YouTube Live, what we have going on, I'm going to give Chris here some topics. He's going to tell me, are they overrated? Are they underrated? I'm going to give him six of these real quick. He has to move quick. And then he'll give me some. I've never seen his list. He's never seen my list. First one, Chris, are you ready?
I hope I've heard of all these things.
You have. First one, fleets, Twitter fleets. Underrated, overrated?
Overrated. I see people using them. I appreciate Twitter experimenting. Whatever.
Overrated. Cryptocurrency.
Underrated. I feel like it's something I don't understand. You know, and people are like, how is that money? Well, how is your money money? It's a damn piece of paper, you know? So I feel like there's a lot that I don't understand about its mechanics, but it's the future. I believe in it.
Okay. Professional soccer.
Professional soccer. Well, in the United States, it's underrated, but it's very soon and it's still growing. It's going to be properly rated. Soccer's amazing.
I know you're a soccer fan.
World sport.
I thought I was going to.
It's the world sport. I mean, I would watch the NBA before soccer, and I will tonight again. But soccer is amazing, and it brings the world together.
Okay. Disney.
Like which part of Disney?
The company.
I think they're properly rated right now. I mean, they were print money with all the Avengers movies. Things have kind of slowed down. Obviously, the parks are struggling, but you know, Disney's Disney. It's properly rated.
Okay. Two more. Megan Thee Stallion. Overrated, underrated?
I think underrated but obviously completely popular. But artists like this, you know, it's fun too when I can actually enjoy an artist that my kids are also enjoying, you know, and like our 2020 Spotify, like look back, like I'm seeing songs that I don't recognize. It's because my kids, you know, we're all on the same Spotify account, and you see like, okay, these are the artists that I've been underrating, you know, that I haven't been hearing. I love hearing songs that they listen to 500 times and I'm hearing for the first time, you know, and she's like that.
Okay. Last one, entrepreneurship.
Oh, that was one of mine, man. All right, we have to talk about it right now. I'm going to tell you what, I think it's overrated. And here's why. Because people celebrate these sort of just risk-taking, amazing. It's a lot of men, too. It's always men. And it's like, you know what? I respect a nurse. I respect a teacher. I respect a firefighter. I respect, you know, our first responders way more than I do entrepreneurship. I think it's like, it's so glorified. And it's not to say that they're not like the job creators of America. I totally understand that. But like, you're out there trying to make money. Like you don't get a cookie from me for that. You know, if you're out there trying to teach my kids, protect my kids, you know, that's what matters to me.
I love it. I love it. All right, sir. That's my list. What do you got?
Hold on. So I'm starting with entrepreneurship on you because it was on my list to ask you about. Overrated. What's your take, man?
Overrated. I think I agree 100% with you. I think there's too much of this glamour of entrepreneurship, of fly by the night Instagrammers who will sell you a class on SEO or sell you a class on how to get rich when why would you sell a class if you're rich? So the whole thing doesn't make sense of this. I think I used to use the word hustle a lot, and that word has even been like trumped over by all these different Instagram users and whatnot. Yeah, and I agree with 100% with you. Overrated.
Well, first of all, I want to defend the word hustle real quick in a way that, you know, like someone that I've learned a lot from, Gary Vaynerchuk, would. I look at it as working hard. And there are certain people like him who will tell you, if you want the bling, as he calls it, then you're going to have to work hard. He's not telling you to work hard. He's telling you what it's going to take to get to where you are claiming you want to be. So anyway, all right, let's start with my list real quick. Overrated or underrated blogging?
Blogging. Oh, man. I would say it was overrated. I think right now, underrated. I think it went through a time. I think right now it's underrated a lot because of SEO. It's overrated as far as the views you get, but I think it's underrated as far as SEO, SEM marketing.
I agree. Overrated or underrated? Kevin Hart.
I love Kevin Hart. Oh, man. Is he overrated or is he underrated? Man, I'm going to go slightly, because I know he's a big deal. I'm going to go slightly overrated because I don't think he gets as much attention he gets a lot of attention on like a comedy and like the movie star. I say that's overrated. Him as an actor is overrated, but he has so many hands in so many different pockets. I don't think people really understand. I relate him to Ryan Seacrest. Ryan Seacrest gets a lot of shots. Oh my goodness. We're talk about hustle. Those two, Kevin Hart, Ryan Seacrest, have the most hustle. Underrated.
Let me say and I agree with you on this. Let me say real quick, a few minutes ago when you said like, why would a, Instagram person or a guru, why would they sell a course? I believe it's for income diversification. They'll talk about diversifying your income streams. And, if I had some knowledge that was worth selling, I'd probably sell it. So that's why. All right. Next on the list, overrated or underrated, Android.
Oh man. Is it underrated or overrated? It's so tough. I mean, generally, how many people buy it, I would say overrated, but it's a cheap product. I think it's no longer an Apple versus Android. It is a way of life now. It's no like people aren't jumping back and forth. I think 5-10 years ago, people jump back and forth. Now it is your alley. You do not jump back and forth now. It's a way of life, much more beyond technology. So I don't know. I'd hate to judge. I think that's a big hole to go into, but I'd say overrated.
Overrated or underrated, Joe Rogan.
Oh man, underrated. 110%. I think he got robbed with $100 million. His $100 million contract with Spotify, he got robbed. He left money on the table. Underrated, 100%. We're going the way of news media. We won't get in a tangent here, but news media is not hitting 80% of America. There's the 10% that lean heavy left, 10% heavy right. And people are finding new outlets to get, hey, who's going to shoot right in the middle? It's where at 80%. It's not focused on ads, though. That's what it is. It's not Joe Rogan. It's that Joe Rogan found a way to get behind this sort of paywall or this direct to consumer without advertisements. That's the key. He's underrated. He deserves more.
Last one, and I may have to comment on this as well, but overrated or underrated, the year 2021.
That's interesting. That's a good one. Man. Underrated.
Do you know why I'm asking? Do you understand what the angle is here?
Are you talking about
like the year doesn't even exist yet. How could it even be rated? But like the outlook for the new year, basically, what's going to happen?
I think it is overrated. I think it's overrated. I think
I'm 100% there. That was my feeling on the matter.
Yeah.
We're all just like, it's like the passage of time has such an interesting effect on people. First of all, I love how the passage of time can solve problems. Like we could have leaned in and solved them ourselves, like made up with that person we were fighting with or whatever, but the passage of time often takes care of it. And I also think that, I feel a strange euphoria on January 1st. It's freezing cold. I'm usually like, there's only been 1 year out of my 50 on this earth that I've actually been like in the Caribbean, for New Year's Day. So all the rest of the days I've been in the cold. I don't know why I feel good on January 1st. It means nothing. It's just some Roman calendar next day. But I feel this sense of euphoria. I don't think we should be feeling that way yet about 2021. I feel like 2020 has been a really tough year, but obviously we're not out of the woods.
Yeah. My date is August. I think nothing's going to be calm. I mean, nothing's going to go back to normal. So I hate using that term, but calm until August. So you're only talking about 4 months of the year that we're going to see progress when we're all outside of quarantine or whatnot. But 2022, that's at least when businesses, Disney, for example, they laid off the most people. They're the largest employer in the United States, and they laid off 20,000 people in just 1 month. Their business is not making any personnel decisions until 2022. Businesses aren't looking at 2021, they're looking at 2022. So
I think there's a lot of bottled up demand for the things that we do where we enjoy ourselves, like traveling, going out to eat, going to events. So I feel like there's still a chance to have another roaring 20s, as we had 100 years ago. And I think we're going to see some great things in 2021. I feel like, especially in America, where we're like just not really interested in lockdowns or anything like that. I feel like we get a bunch of the country vaccinated, and let's say the cases are down from 250,000 a day down to 20 or 30,000, 40,000. It's still horrible. But it would be a place where we'd be like, time to go, time to start getting people back in the stands at baseball games, time to start going to indoor concerts. I think that's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely see. We'll definitely see. I think we've got a lot of hurdles once this vaccine coming out for sure, but we'll see. Chris, we want to get to our last segment of this YouTube live. It's our predictions. I began with these got to be a home run. These got to be a big wow moment of a prediction for 2021 associated with social media. Before we get to that, Chris, tell us what you got going on. Tell us about Boosta. Tell us what you got in the chamber working on.
So I run Boosta Tech, boostatech.com. We sell portable phone chargers, power banks, external battery packs, whatever you want to call them. So the reason we do that is that we are all addicted to our cell phones, into our iPads, and so we've always got our technology, and those technologies need a companion. They need a bestie. They need a battery running alongside that can keep you up and going because of all the things we use our phones for. It's amazing. So that's what I'm mostly focused on.
I love it. All right, sir. Prediction time. You want to go first? You want to go second? Your choice. Guest choice.
I'm going to go first. So I wasn't sure if this was a good prediction or not. I feel like it's something that needs to happen, but I'm just going to go for it. It's a two-parter. All right. And it both has to do with a company with an incredible amount of cash, and that's Apple. All right. So Apple just came out. What was your guess? Sorry.
Apple or Amazon.
Apple's got a lot of cash. A lot of these companies have major amounts of cash. Apple has a lot of cash. There's a common misnomer that like once you have cash, you have to find something stupid to spend it on. Not so. But Apple is going to be very interested in, and I think that like Google, they're a company really interested in solving the problems of the world, and I feel like Apple's got a relatively good conscience. So you may have seen the news that they are discussing creating an electric car that may go into production by 2024. I think Apple is going to jumpstart that by acquiring an EV company. They're going to acquire an electric vehicle company. There are a lot out there. QuantumScape, I think, is one. You've got Nikola. Full disclosure, I own that, and I'm 50% down in that investment. It's horrible. There are a lot of EV stocks out there. I would be very interested in seeing one that has not gone public yet. Rivian. They make a wonderful truck. I forget the name of their truck, but anyway, it does this crazy thing where it can spin in place. If you go Google Rivian, you'll see some YouTube videos. So I think they're going to acquire an EV manufacturer in order to sort of jumpstart it. But here's the crazy prediction, I think, that I really want to see come true. I want to see Apple throw its money into a new social media platform. So very similar, like they're throwing money at Apple TV Plus. They're making these crazy shows. They don't even expect you to sign up for it. They give you a year for free with your iPhone, okay? I want to see them throw the same kind of like, we don't care about making money attitude towards social media right now. I want them to create a product. It's going to be called
Snapchat.
PUM, P-O-M-M-E. It's the French word for Apple. So they're going to create a new social media called PUM. And so what PUM's going to do, it's going to be like Twitter. It's going to be a way to communicate with others, but they're going to have ways of us clearly identifying who we are on the app, similar to my green checkmark idea for Twitter, where people who aren't famous can still get a verified badge so that you're not arguing with a Russian bot or someone in Eastern Europe. I think Apple can pull this off because what they're going to do, they're going to say, no ad revenue. We're not running ads for the first 5 years. We, as a company, are going to figure out how to run a place where disinformation is not a problem, where you can argue, but you're going to be respectful. And they're going to tie it into all of their devices, all of their phones, which we're all carrying in the United States. So it may end up being a largely United States platform since Apple is so popular here. And I want to see them throw like their design chops, which most Apple things are beautiful. I want to see some beautiful social media, but I want to see one too where it's like we all know, like we have a way of verifying who each other are. And I do think there is room for another social media platform. When Snapchat came out, I'm like, wow, we don't have any more. And then Snapchat came, or TikTok came rather. And I was like, okay, there's always room for another one.
I could see that. I've been calling for a while, Apple actually buying Snapchat, or at least buying partnership stake into Snapchat. So it'd be interesting to see where they go, because you know what Snapchat's good at? I've been dogging on Snapchat for a long time, but you know what Snapchat is amazing at? AR. Their AR capabilities are better than anything else. You can argue about anything else, but AR is amazing. And you know that these have no future. There's no future to cell phones whatsoever. Every time a new iPhone comes out, it's not that much different than the last one. You got to be honest with yourself. The future is eyewear. The future is
That's interesting. So you're saying that like the need to carry around a cell phone will eventually go away.
Yeah, easy in a couple of years. It's not even that long. 2021 is going to be a battle for eyewear. Amazon's coming out with eyewear. Facebook's coming out with eyewear. Apple has their eyewear slated for 2022, but they may try to bump it up. They need AR technology. So being partnered, associated with Snapchat, because it's cheap. It's a cheap way to the top. It's definitely an opportunity for sure.
Wait, so is that your prediction? Their eyewear is taking over?
I mean, I'll take that as my prediction. It was not my prediction, but yeah, eyewear for sure. I will put money on there's no future in this right here. It's going to be wearables.
All right.
And eyewear is the easiest way.
What's the prediction that you had planned to share with us?
Okay, that prediction isn't for 2021 specifically. That's going to take a couple years. Here's the one for 2021. It's going to happen in 2021. Facebook gets broken up. Easy. That's not the prediction. That's just an easy one. They're going to have to fill that gap of money coming in. Zuckerberg's going to get very rich by getting broken up, but they're going to fill that with a new vertical. That vertical that Facebook is going to put in the place that Snapchat or that Instagram now left is shopping. They're going to be the shopping place. They're going to compete directly with Amazon. The way to do this is to buy a whale. You got to go whale hunting at this point. You can't just create, marketplace bigger than it is. You got to go whale hunting. Facebook buys Shopify.
I do not want to see that come true.
Facebook buys Shopify. It's going to happen.
As a Shopify store operator, I do not want to see that happen. Full disclosure, I own Shopify stock, and it is going really, really, really well for me. It is the one stock that I thought to myself, if I buy enough of this now, it goes the way I want it to, I could be a wealthy person. So and maybe Facebook will buy it and do great things. I don't want to see that happen, my friend.
Hey,
Shopify is a really interesting group of Canadian entrepreneurs who I just don't know if they're going to take that call.
Yeah. Facebook has taken it upon themselves to start battles with all of them. With Amazon, they're taking battles with Apple. Facebook is just battling everyone at this point. So it's going to be a scary world.
I'm going to give you a little leeway on this prediction. If they end up buying Squarespace, I'm going to let you off the hook.
Okay, I appreciate that. Chris, I appreciate your first ever YouTube live episode. We didn't mess it up. We said not a single cuss word. So that's pretty fucking impressive. So good job. Just ruined it.
I said damn earlier. I know that. I was trying to keep it clean, but you gotta, your mind's in the gutter, my friend.
Touche. Awesome. Chris, I appreciate you being on here. Have a fantastic day. Crush it.
Hey man, happy holidays to you.
All right. Oh.